Hello, everybody. This is Field Deal, and Field Deal is a part of something epic, something big, and the things that we've been talking about and continue to talk about. So, what we're going to do, we're going to start off by having him tell us a little bit about who he is and some of his background, and I'll jump in to feed you some questions.
I appreciate that. Thanks for having me. And well, a lot of folks, if they don't know already, I am first and foremost your nephew, your family member, and which has been something beautiful and a blessed thing in my life because I didn't grow up with my father. My father's name was Philip Gregory Wilson. I'm Philip Gregory Deal. I've always known him. I loved him his whole life, but there's a lot of things that he wasn't able to teach me that you having an uncle like you in my life really helped to make sure there wasn't any excuses for what a man should be and how a man should think and what really kind of person you should be out in this world. So I just want to make sure that's known because that's one of the things I'm most proud of and why we're doing a lot of things that we're doing because I really look up to that. And there's no excuses, but the ones you look for. You can look for excuses to succeed or you can look for excuses to fail. And you've always have to kind of give me that perspective. So I thank you. I'm your nephew. But as far as kind of what I do in my background, I play. I'm an athlete. I played high school football and basketball for East Tech High School. I went on to play college football and basketball as
Don't
well.
go too fast. We need to go back a little bit. You played for these the schools and so forth. Why did you get into sports then?
Well, I got into sports. I was always pretty blessed academically. I was placed in the honors courses in the fourth grade. Actually, the fifth grade. In the fourth grade, I remember that was the last time that I actually got all straight A's in school. It wasn't even a challenge. It wasn't even a thought. After that, they decided to put me in honors courses. And really, me wanting to play sports kind of stemmed socially because I was the one that got teased when I was younger. Got called names.
Now, just so people know, I want them to know that this was a little scrawny little kid.
Yes.
He's a big guy now, but he was a little scrawny, little something back in the days. You look at the wind could blow him over, good wind. So there's the transition that happened. So
Right.
you're talking about that. Fill people in so they'll understand why that happened. Right? As you say, you were bullied and picked on, so they have to understand you were that little scrawny kid at one time.
Right. So early on, I had to understand that it would had to be a mindset shift between what was happening to me and where my life was going versus what I wanted to actually have happen. Back in those days, I read a lot of comic books, and if you know anything about comic books or you looked at comic books, there's a section in the comic books where there's a lot of different ads. Sea monkeys that you sell. Folks would say, "Hey, seal envelopes and make $1,000 a week." And there was always this one ad of this little skinny, scrawny guy who had sand getting kicked in his face by the bully on the beach. And he goes back, and I don't even remember whether it was something that he took or just some workout program, but it always showed him going back, muscle out, punching the bullies, and the girls liking it. I really, because I was in my own world watching TV so much and reading comic books, in my mind, I saw myself in that whole little scenario playing out. So I equated athletics with me kind of getting to that level. First, because it was just an outlet. I loved football when I was younger. We played football in the field where we live. We lived, down in the kind of a housing project area. There's one big giant field, and I love playing football. I was Eric Metcalf if I wanted to decide to shake you up, or I was Kevin Mack if I wanted to decide to run you over. So we played football. That's back in the days when we were outside. And I always was good academically. Once I got to junior high, I didn't make the flag football team. I got cut. Tried out for basketball. I didn't make the basketball team. I got cut in the seventh grade. So eighth grade, I tried out. They took away football, so I played. I tried to. I made the soccer team because they weren't cutting. This is the first time they did inner city soccer, so they didn't cut. So I made the soccer team. The very first game I remember, everybody played. He got everybody in. It was myself and my buddy Burl, who's really not an athlete at all, very uncoordinated, but his mother and father took really good care of him. So he had all the latest shin guards, cleats, everything was beautiful. But he and I were the only two sitting on the bench. We didn't play. And then before the game was over, he said, okay, Burrow, come on, let's go. Burrow hopped up and was like, yes. He put him in the game. And after, I'm like, okay, my time is coming, my time is coming. Boom, clock expired. I don't play. So we're on the bus, everybody excited. We won our first game. And he says, and I couldn't believe he said this, Mr. Washington, shout you out. He said, okay, feels good. We got the first game under our belt. I think everybody else I got everybody in, and everybody got a chance to play. So I had to tell him, no, you didn't. I didn't play. Oh, Deal. I'm sorry, Deal. I'll get you in, man. I'll get you in next time. So that was a kind of a slap in the face to my first experience in playing sports. Basketball season came around. I already know Mr. Washington. It's the same guy who's the basketball coach. I could dribble the ball a little bit because I started working out, working on my skills, and I get cut from basketball again. So, sports became kind of a thing I wanted to overcome to show that I made it. I wanted to be an athlete. I wanted to compete. And so that's why, when I got to high school, I played football because I love football, and I gave that another shot. But I didn't try out for basketball freshman year.
So in spite of being cut as you were cutting, in spite of not being able to play the game, you still had the mindset that I want to be in sports.
Absolutely. I fell in love with it at that time. And like I said, a lot of it goes to just how I think, and I'm in junior high, I was bullied a lot, kind of outcast from the cool group, so to speak. So, I wanted to do something to kind of plant my stake that I'm somebody, and I'm somebody special and somebody sharp. Got good grades, but, that's considered a nerd. But in my honors course, I was in two different honors kind of classes. One where we were just the nerds with the pocket protectors and the geeks that everybody dogged. But then there's another school I went to afterwards where the nerds were, or the honor students were the smartest and sharpest kids in the school, outwitting and outthinking everybody. They were the coolest because they thunked the sharpest. They were thinking the sharpest. That is creative word, thunk.
It's a creative word. You can use it.
They thunked the
It's
sharpest.
your word.
Yeah.
It's your word. Nobody can tell you, hey, that's a great word. You're a big guy, so if you say thunk it, they have to accept thunk.
They thunked the sharpest, and I wasn't in that cool group. So, the sports was kind of my way of being able to separate. I played football that first year, was still a little scrawny kid, 5'6".
Are you in high school?
High school, ninth grade, 135 pounds. I got the helmet kind of dangling on my head and the shoulder pads, hanging off of me, looking like a dress with the jersey. So I was still a skinny guy. And I didn't even try basketball because I felt so bad I got cut the first 2 years. The next year, actually that summer, freshman year, I played baseball just so I can get another sport in. The baseball coach at another school was our actual JV basketball coach. He said, "You tall, man. Why didn't you play any ball?" I said, "I got cut 2 years in high school before." He's like, "Oh, that don't mean nothing. Like, you need to come out for basketball next year." So at that point, when I met him, I said, "I'm gonna go out and try out that next year." And I always practiced and played every day. So that my cousin and I kind of making a rivalry with each other, starting to get a little taller, jump a little higher. By the time basketball season came around that next year, I played football, and I was into doing push-ups and taking my powder supplement to get bigger. So I had it in my mind, I'm gonna do everything it takes to be good.
So that was your motivating factor, that I'm doing this because I want to be good, or were you doing it for revenge, or it's a combination of both, or neither?
No, absolutely a combination of both, because I was still kind of a little guy, and I started to get taller, started to do things competitively, but I still wasn't getting the respect. So I wanted to be bigger and stronger than those who antagonized me, because I had plans on knocking them out cold. Period. That was it.
That's on the field, right?
No, that's like in the class, in the hallway. I said, I'm going to knock somebody out, but I couldn't do it because I wasn't strong enough. I'm living in a time where there's drugs going on down there. Everybody want to be gangs. We got Bloods on one side of the street, Crips on the other side of the street, which is crazy that we fought like that in our community. So, you had to kind of find the angle in how you were going to establish some respect.
So as I want to stop you at that point and ask you this question, since you said you had the gangs on either side of the street. What prevented you from saying, okay, all this I've gone through, then maybe I should just go and join this gang, that's a family, and they can help me?
I wanted something more out of my life. I attribute having somebody like yourself in my life, but also my mom, who was a single parent. And she worked every single day doing cleaning as we were growing up. But then after a while, she started her own personal housekeeping business. She worked for a lady for all of 2 days and said, you know what, I can do this myself. So seeing her go out and make hers happen, kind of put her stamp on this world, her never abandoning us, and understanding that my father, he made a lot of promises that he couldn't keep. I wanted to keep a promise to her and be somebody that she can be proud of.
So she was one of the first people that inspired you to simply say, you know, I can do better than, I can do this and I want to be successful.
Right, because she did it against all odds, you know, kind of outside the box from what people think you can do. That's really, quote unquote, realistic or attainable. You know, we're coming from the inner city projects of Cleveland, but here you have this single mother of two young African American boys who started her own business, grew her clientele, and was able to grow that and turn that into what's now over 35 years of dedicated service in commercial and residential cleaning services.
So what would you say to the persons who would say, you know what, I'm a product of my environment, and I grew up in that environment, so I became what the environment said that I should be. When you, from your own words, came up in that kind of environment, but you chose another avenue. Why is that? Why do you think that is?
Well, the reason that it is, and I understand why, because when I talk to people nowadays and they hear about where I'm from and what school I went to, they say, wow, you never know. And it's because of the choice I decided I made about who I wanted to be. I didn't want where I was from and all the negative things that happened in my neighborhood that was going on. I didn't want that to kind of define it and be a badge of what people identified me as. You know, they had no idea that I came from such a rough neighborhood because I chose to want to be a different kind of person and have a different thing out of my life. And again, part of that was my mom's instilling values in me, me wanting to break barriers like she did. I felt like if she did that, I'm supposed to take it to another level. But then also, you know, my junior year, I played basketball in my sophomore year, started as soon as I came out, which was good. Still had some issues socially with other students, but then my junior year, I went from 5'10" to 6'1", and then jumping like a 35-inch vertical. So I kind of just metamorphosed.
Now, we talking high school or we talking college?
We're talking about high school still. I went from 5'10" in 10th grade, playing my first year of basketball, and not only making the team finally, but playing a significant part in the team, to growing tremendously over the course of 1 year.
So do you think that helped you as far as developing leadership skills for later on in life?
Definitely, because with the change in height and actually continue to go after something that at one point I didn't have the heart to do so, it seemed to change my perspective on what I can and actually can't do. Because once I grew grew over the summer like that, and I was always avid about working out, I saw that, there's some things that I can control about how my body grows and what I actually can and what I do. And a part of that was I decided to do this to work out. I decided to keep playing basketball as opposed to being in the streets and selling dope or getting a part of these gangs and getting jumped in. I never identify with that, wanting people to jump on me so it can be my brothers, so to speak. We had a big family anyway. So that wasn't even really on the radar, but it's about what I wanted to really make out of my life and really seeing that, okay, this can be done.
Okay, so now we've looked at school, your youth coming up. I know you have some college background, so what was the motivating factor for you to go to college?
To do something different outside of what my family tradition was. Before that, I only knew of just one person that went to college within the circle that we associated with, and she went to Akron. And I went to college because I had a dream of achieving in athletics, and I wanted to kind of expand my world. I lived in the urban area, in the inner city of Cleveland all my life. I wanted to immediately, once I had a chance, to get out and do something to make my own mark. I didn't want to stay home.
That was a major or minor? What were the major and minor? Because did you get into business, business law, business practices?
I didn't have a major and minor because you didn't know about college coming from where I came from, and my high school experience didn't really prepare you for that. I knew I wanted to be in business, so I was a business management major coming out of high school and going into college.
Okay, so you went into business management.
Mm-hmm.
And you're in business management to this day, or what are you doing? How does that translate now from school to the real world?
Well, it laid a foundation for me to understand all different aspects of what business entails. It led to me getting in different circles and networking and meeting different people with, from my teammates who had parents who were, folks who worked, some who owned businesses, some who were ridiculously successful and owned, strings of car lots. That's an experience in Cincinnati and going out to Minnesota. I played ball and went to school in Minnesota. I met, folks who lived a different kind of level of life. Their parents owned a lodge and they had cabins on top of cabins. I, did a lot of great things. I, went to school with someone who, his dad owns a pro NFL football team. And so it just kind of opened my eyes to the different possibilities of what life could actually bring you out there. And I've always wanted to do something to make my mark because my mom was an entrepreneur. And I said, I have to do something that's going to make my mark as well.
Okay, so what do you feel you're doing now that is making a difference and is making your mark?
I believe God blessed me with the ability to be creative. What I've been doing for a long time is I've always said that I've been blessed and touched with the gift of music and being able to make the music in my mind, being able to sing, and also having the ability and understanding now about engineering and music production, how to actually take it from my mind and create something that somebody can listen to that actually came from my heart. So as a singer, as a producer of music, that led to opportunities in producing in film and producing in video, which also led to just understanding those components are what makes up marketing. Those are components what makes up attracting people to things.
So you're talking about film, you're talking about marketing. I know that you've done some film work, and I know you've done some other things. So tell us a little bit about I know you've been in a film.
Mm-hmm.
You can at least mention to everybody what the film was,
Okay.
so they'll know what that is. And then I want you to tell us about, you said done some filming, so that means documentaries, or does it mean Hollywood films? Is documentary, we wanted to know a little bit about that. So first question is, you were in a film, so what was the name of the film?
So I was in a blockbuster, Marvel Comics, Captain America Winter Soldier. Originally, it started off, I was having a bad day that day. I was in my suit and tie, out taking care of some business. I think I was looking for another job, actually. And I was just having a bad day that day. And I went up to, somehow ended up around Tri-C area. And they said, you look really good right now. They're casting for a big movie around the corner. You need to walk over there and get in line because I think they'll put you in the movie. I didn't know what they were talking about and what movie it was. I knew it was something for Marvel once I got in line. I said, why not? I don't have anything else to do. So, I spent 6 hours in the freezing cold in my, nice looking suit, waiting to get into the, to cast a call for the movie. Thousands of people out there. So, it was all but a few minutes that I took in there. So, went to the casting call, never thought anything more about it, got a job, and was working a job, getting things back on track. They called and said, hey, we want to put you in the movie. As one of the undercover SHIELD agents. So it was pretty slick.
So just so everybody know, if you want to be in a movie, be willing to put on a suit, stand 6 hours out in the cold, and wait for a little while. And and if you're having a bad day, it'll work out for you. So it worked out.
All those pieces kind of connected. But it just so happened, and it goes to show that you got to be willing to jump on an opportunity whenever it comes about, and no matter what anybody says is possible, you have to do it regardless. And that was just like something crazy out of the blue. At that time, I'd already done some production. We were part of an independent film company called IGAT Filmworks. And we also created a second independent film company that spawned from that called IBM, where we produced a documentary on missing children called Where is Gina? Centered around the Gina DeJesus story because the folks we were working with went to church with their parents, No one was thinking about their daughter. They wanted something to just put some more awareness in the public eye that their daughter is still missing and out there. They still feel like, she needs to come home. They feel like she's still out there. And we took that as an opportunity to just, what, let's do something special on the subject, period. At the same time, show folks that what we can do. So it was a benevolent act of what we wanted to do in creating the film, which we did. It was a great accomplishment. Didn't kind of do or go where we wanted to after that, but we did complete the film. We were able to premiere the film, and if folks go online right now to Where is Gina, they actually type in Where is Gina, YouTube, they'll be able to see clips and things that we've done with the movie. And it's just, it really felt like it played a big role into prayers that helped to bring those girls home when just 4 years later, in 2013, they were actually found. She was still here. That empty, Felix de Jesus said he didn't have that empty feeling in his heart. That's real. When I saw that I was a part of something that did that, that said to me that all the way, the perspective that I've been going about life and not accepting things for what they are, not accepting any type of bad circumstances, not accepting coming up short, that showed me that it's all for real. Because what that man felt in his heart about his daughter was for real. What we did and wanted to help them, and the joy that even came out of him being a part of that, this is his baby girl. He was hurt by this. And I saw, and I'm sure you remember, the light in his eyes as he was doing this, and the fact that we were helping him out and even cared about it really gave him something inside that, I really can't describe. So when she came home, that said to me that anything's possible. That says to me that I'm here doing something, and what role I play in these things has a purpose, a great purpose, and I just keep wanting to build on that.
Okay, because so now we understand you were in a movie. You helped you were part of a documentary.
Mm-hmm.
Do you also, since that took place, you also know how to edit and do things of that nature, correct?
Right. That gave me the foundation for understanding all the components to what it takes to conceive a movie, to actually produce it and have it done and out there. So, between that time, I've done other things like some network marketing, which led into me understanding and learning the world of internet marketing and all the principles behind what actually it makes up successful marketing, all the components to that. So I've been able to use understanding about how to do graphic design, about how to storyboard, how to actually edit film with the audio production background, and kind of bring that to where we are today.
Which was going to be one of the questions, but you've already answered that, and how it translates, and that translation is in how you develop those things for businesses. Right. So that gives you a business expertise in the area of doing films or helping a company develop who they are visually.
Right, and being able to. And one of the mottos and what we do with our company, it's a movement we're creating called a Be Epic Movement. And one of the things that we look to do and we're able to help folks do on any level is take whatever you have in concept and bring it to creation. And it all starts with a thought of what it is you see yourself to be, what it is that you want to be, and being able to create a brand, create an identity for that brand, and then create something visual that people can see to translate to what that brand is. There's no greater way of having folks be able to experience emotion and experience things that you want to get across in tone than having them actually see and experience that. So that's one of the greatest things about what I've learned, and it all ties into a lot of the things that I've done already in playing sports and coming up short, actually overcoming and actually becoming an actual athlete. I played in college. We never won a football game in high school. I never experienced a win at all my entire high school career. Never won a game. My senior year, we came closer than I've ever have because I had a different kind of dedication, but we never won. Went from that to actually going to to college and being a part of a major program where we're getting national attention, playing college and junior college, and actually winning a state title. So I went from winning no games to not losing a game, not even playing past halftime. I took that and winning that championship and understanding everything that it took throughout from the preseason to all the practices, to all the repetition. I actually lived being able to be on the other side of that, from a perennial loser to a perennial winner, where it wasn't even a question. Sometimes we walked into the arena, we were definitely going to win. It's going to be about how much. I use that to this day. No one can ever take away from me being a champion and being successful at something, even if that's the last thing I've ever done. And it won't be, because I understand what principles. It took for me to go from losing all the time to winning all the time. And those are the same components that it takes in business and however you want to structure, whatever direction you want to take your life. So, all of that helped to where I am right now. And now being able to do that, that's what creating a marketing plan and blueprint is all about, and understanding how to illustrate what it is that you're about, illustrate what it is that you have to offer, and why folks should pay attention to that in the first place.
So what would you say is maybe 2 things, maybe 3 things that you would say to people watching, say, this is what you need to do if you want to be successful in life?
I think one of the first things that you need to do is look at your mindset and challenge your mindset from where you are. If you're not where you want to be, there's some components and some reasons and some things that need to adjust. And it usually always starts with your mindset and what you think is possible. Had I not adjusted my mindset, I would have never tried out for another basketball team again. I wouldn't have tried out for a football team again. I wouldn't have went on to play college football. Wouldn't have went on to winning a championship. When we started film companies that didn't do exactly what we wanted them to do, I would have never decided to even keep going with that. I would have just worked 9 to 5, would have just kind of just rolled my life out, deciding not to try again because I came up short. Your mindset has to change. But then with the mindset changing, you also have to have a hunger to know what it is that you need to do in order to go from A to B to C, etc. Because once you have a blueprint for where you need to go, then it takes the heart for you to challenge yourself to actually do it. Thinking that when you think has to change, what you know about how to get there has to increase, and you just have to have the heart to go for it.
Well, if those are the key components, then everybody should have that, right?
Yeah. Everybody, I think everybody does have it. It's just what people choose to pull out of their toolbox and use. Folks, this is nothing, what I'm saying is nothing new that people haven't heard. I decided to make a different meaning for it for my life. And some folks, whatever reason, you have to have your own reason for why you want to make some changes, why you have to do these things, and why nothing in the world is going to get in the way of that. Everybody has it. It's about, is everybody going to use it?
I agree. That's one of the fundamentals. Knowing what to do doesn't get it done.
Mm-hmm.
And so often that's the case. So with your knowledge, with your experience, and I will call it even expertise, because all of us are experts in some fields in our lives. So with that expertise, what would be the last thing you'd like for everybody to know about you? I say last thing for this because it's not the last thing, period.
I'm following you. Well, I wasn't, but thanks for clarifying now. I guess I want the last thing for folks to know about me is that there is a lot more that's going to happen after this point with me, based on what I've been through. I've been blessed to attract some really outstanding individuals like Carnell Matthews, like a Tim White, like some of my football teammates and brothers for life who played in the NFL for 10, 15 years, folks who own NFL teams. And I've been blessed to attract so many great opportunities and things into my life, only because I've decided to think a different way, not based on where I came from or based on what somebody else told me is possible. Because throughout every walk of everything that I've ever accomplished, there's always been somebody there to tell me I can't do it. It's always been somebody there to tell me that I was crazy or stupid. It's always been somebody there to tell me that it's not for me. And yet, here I am, yet and still. And they haven't seen anything yet. So understand this about Field Deal. there is so much more that God has given me that I have no right to stop at this point right now because there are too many people, my family, my friends, and people who don't even know me, who need what I have to offer in order to make a change in their life. I've been told so many times that you can't, and I've never listened to it, and I always step it up another level. And I'm just excited about folks seeing where we're going with what we're doing right now because they ain't seen nothing yet. You know what I say? They ain't seen nothing
Ain't
yet.
seen nothing yet. Where we start is not where we stop. But if you stop, it's only for that moment to readjust yourself. So last words, Harry, everybody out there, be epic.
Be epic.